Well, where to start? First, of course, big thank you for having me here. And I'll be talking about a topic which is seemingly not that related to mobility, but in a kind of essence, it really kind of bridges a lot of elements, and it's basically about communicating the quality of the city. And of course, how do you actually create a city which is recognized as a good city? So I'll be talking about the city branding identity. I have to say I kind of immediately regretted it, that I put a brand there, because of course the city is not a brand, it's a living structure. So I just forgot to use this, okay, hopefully it works. Down, I don't see down here. Okay, this one. Okay, so first of all, again, a little introduction, who am I and where I'm coming from and what I'm doing, okay? So we're doing a lot of things, and from really big master plans, everything what we kind of research the city, we ask a lot of questions, we create a lot of places, and of course, our main domain is a public space, and again, mobility is related to the public space very deeply, and kind of there are a lot of implications how you do it in terms of a quality of a space. So for us, the anchor of our work is public space, not only in kind of a physical meaning, but also in a psychological meaning. So a lot of you will see it in my presentation that we do a lot of things which are just not only designed. So our practice, you can't see what's written there, but our practice works with the parameters, okay? And I think that's what we call it a parametric design consultancy, where you actually work with parameters, okay? You have to kind of like prioritize what is important, and you juggle, you kind of like, it's never black and white. City is always kind of changing, it's a constant change, so you have to really work with the parameters, and usually it's like politics, and people. That's a tough parameter, okay? So, and you really need to kind of work it out, how actually city works, So for us, it's a kind of parametric exercise. So, and what we do, we kind of connect three domains, which is a people, place, and a process. So I think that's kind of our, I would say, a mantra of how we actually approach every project and how we actually approach problems and how we solve them. So that's in kind of a nutshell what we do. But let's go to the city branding and identity, and I think what it is creating a character, and in some sense it's a kind of a placemaking. It's a creating of a place. So in a way, city is not a product, okay? So, and a city is a living organism. So in a way, you can't compare city to the Coca-Cola or Apple, okay? So it's, again, for them it's like, the image of Coca-Cola, it's the logo, it's what it is, everything, but the city is evolving, okay? So it's maximum marketing, minimum marketing, and maximum placemaking for me. So again, I'm not advertising guru, or, I'm not selling things, I'm creating things. So for me, it's actually about placemaking rather than marketing or, selling. So, again, as I said, cities are evolving and competing. And we are in a world where basically every city is trying to find their own place. So because, again, it's an economical thing, they really need to kind of get the money, funding, they need to get attention, they need to get tourists, they need to make it better for the people who live there. So they do, and truly, they compete, okay? So how do they compete is they create a character, which is kind of unique. And that character makes the city different. So I think, where would I start? With the Eiffel Tower, okay? Everybody knows Eiffel Tower. Everybody knows it's a brand. Like football clubs, I don't know what, you're just using the logo, the shape of the Eiffel Tower. What's amazing about this is that the brand was never kind of fully, from the beginning, was not recognized. Actually, was hated. They wanted to pull it down. So they said, like, we don't want it, it's ugly. So you have to look at the brand, as a city brand, something what, again, it's evolving. It has to be recognized. It has to be somehow, it needs to be loved. There needs to be a kind of attention. There needs to be a connection to it. So, and that's how Eiffel Tower become an Eiffel Tower, not just because of they thought about it, that it's a brand. It was never from the brand from the beginning. So we looked at it, and thought like, how other cities are kind of using this kind of method of a brand, And then again, a lot of people would say, okay, so, and as a usual thing, the clients would ask me, can you just do something like Eiffel Tower in our city? And I said, I can't replicate Eiffel Tower. There's only one Eiffel Tower. You have to find your own way, your own Eiffel Tower. And, and that this is kind of a movement, in the last 20 years that, we kind of trying with the effect of architecture, trying to promote the cities, okay? And again, I truly don't know if it's working. Maybe Bilbao kind of works because the content of the building, because it's a cultural center, it really revived Bilbao. But generally, I think that, just to only creating a shell without the content, it doesn't work, right? So we really need to be very careful, how we actually present these things and how we actually make it work for the city. So again, I would kind of, be very hesitant, to go the route of a zoo, of a kind of Dubai style, because it's not sustainable. It doesn't work, okay? It works maybe for a few years, but people are bored of these things, okay? So again, it's fantastic to have a good collection of architecture, but still we need to think about the meaning of it. Well, another good example, very simple one. Why I put it there is that now a lot of cities are promoting things, through these kind of installations and, very clear statements. You already know, I love New York. It's kind of like recognized everywhere. But what's important to see here is not just the sign or the logo, but, it's actually affection. It's affection towards the city, what it means. I love the city. So it means that it's not the brand, it's actually the relationship you are selling here, okay? So you're selling, if you love the city, you care, you are part of the city, it's your identity. It's not the logo, it's the love. Because love is recognized. It's recognized among everyone. It's actually very universal. So, and that's how it works. Well, I was just thinking, I lived in the two cities, I was born in Eastern Europe. I moved to London in the 90s, and I was just thinking, what is the image? What is the kind of brand of London? Tube. Not the Tower Bridge, not for me, a tube. Because every day, every Londoner knows what the tube is. You go to the tube, you meet people there, you find your love there, everything what's happening in London is going through the tube, okay, through the underground. So, in a way, you have to understand that this is a brand. This is a brand of the city. This is the image, this is the identity which I recognize. Every time when I go back home to London, it's the smell of the tube, which I recognize every time. And I say, like, I'm home. This is it. And again, we talk about mobility. This is actually the most powerful and very recognized space for, again, social connectivity and also as transport. So again, very successful. And again, this is in my head every time. It's a brand. It's not only map. It's a map which you have in the head. And every time when you're in London, you are kind of like, oh, I'm here. I need to go there. Okay, so, and it's in your head. The map becomes almost like a significant element of your life in London. So if you don't know the map by heart, you're not a Londoner. Okay? So it's a fantastic example, like how actually the city itself, through a basic means, could be branded, not through the logo, but through a map, which is recognized as, again, a physical space and a time. Other thing which kind of struck my mind, what is kind of the biggest thing, for city branding? Olympics, all right? Of course, it's kind of controversial, and a lot of people say it's not ecological and thing, but again, if I take out all the buildings and, regeneration, one thing what really spoke me when 2012 London Olympics happened was the sheer of happiness. It was 70,000 volunteers in a city which they were capable to talk to you, navigate you, and they were incredibly friendly to every kind of visitor there. And that was the best image you can get, you know, like, you know, again, no logo. It's funny, that logo really looks like those people dancing there. So it's a, you know, and I have to say that was a really moving element. I really felt proud, you know, not because of the stadiums and everything, but because of the people. The people were kind of the motivation behind everything. And I think that that's how I put this slide there. Again, is that the relationship to the city and the, you know, pride of the city and the way, you know, how they actually presented the city to the visitor was, to me, the best image you can get. And of course, the best content. Bratislava. I was born in Bratislava. I don't know if you've been in Bratislava. It's a kind of funny place, a little bit off the radar, capital of Slovakia. And what happened there? This is the historic image. You still recognize the castle. And these were kind of the symbols of the city, you know, the castle, you know, like every European city has a castle or a cathedral or something. So that's how you recognize the city. It's like, oh, that's, I don't know, Düsseldorf, or I don't know, this is other city, you know, so Paris, okay? So, but Bratislava, again, this was for many years the symbol, okay? Again, as I said, you know, castle, river, of course. And then what happened? The communists came and decided, okay, we should put a foot there, okay? And should put something what is very significant. So you combine ideology with the car culture. And that's a kind of a strange combination. So they ended up with this bridge, which basically destroyed half of the city, but paradoxically, it's a symbol now. Nobody wants to remove it. We want to remove the cars, of course, but we can't remove the bridge. So it's actually, you know, it's a strange thing how the history works. So it's a, you know, in a way it was implied to us, but it became a symbol. So still it's maybe resonates as a kind of a symbol from the past, but we accepted it. So, and it's a very difficult, I would say, relationship to the past, and probably you had the same kind of experience here, is that we've been in Pyramid, and we had a conference in Pyramid, is how do you deal with the past? You know, how do you actually kind of make a, you know, how do you actually transfer these monuments and everything to the future? You know, how do you actually deal with it? Because I have to say, most of the monuments and kings and everything in Western Europe, they were kind of related to oppression, you know, colonialism, you know, racism, you know, so it's kind of very difficult, you know, to deal with it. So how do you deal with again, brand which is related to the ideology? So I don't have a clear answer to that, but I had to put it there because I think kind of relates to you. Also, one thing what I want to mention is that what really is the kind of significant, I would say, image of the city is also the morphology, is the kind of location. Every time as a kid, when we kind of traveled far from Bratislava, we played this game, and we were like, who is going to see the tower first? All right? So, and that was the moment when we felt we are already home, okay? So the tower itself, it's a TV tower, probably disused, because we don't use TV towers anymore, but it's actually a sense of belonging. It's a sense where you feel that you are suddenly home, you know, and I think that's, again, a very good brand, or very kind of image of, you know, of how you describe a city as something what you relate to. So for me, it was quite a challenge, because I worked with, a few years ago, I worked with the current mayor on, we called it the Manual for Better City. In that time, he was still not a mayor, he's an architect. And he said, like, okay, so how are we going to actually do it, you know? Like, we need to really kind of have some program or something or plan how to change the city. And I said, okay, let's start with identity. Let's really talk about what the Bratislava is and how it works. And surprisingly, we couldn't find an answer. We said, like, actually, we said, like, we don't know. We have to keep it open. Maybe it will find their own identity in the future. So it's like, and we realized it's a kind of a certain amount of fluidity in it. So, and then we describe it, and we wrote a whole chapter about it. And of course, then we realized that we need to write actually the whole book, you know, about the mobility, about social issues, everything. And that became his program, you know, for running as a mayor. So, and You know, it was very successful. He was friendly, people understood. Suddenly they associated with a lot of things in the city, and they voted for him. And now he's in the second term, and Bratislava is really transforming. I have to say, you know, come and see. It's absolutely booming. So again, simple things. Make it very clear, you know, write it down, talk about it, communicate. Okay, so I think that was the reason why we did it. And of course, we felt responsible, and, you know, kind of, we felt that nothing is happening. It's kind of like, and again, maybe it's for architects, the thing is they feel that they need to change things, okay? Not everything, of course. So I was talking about people. So many times when we design cities, we using the method which we call storytelling. So because many times, you know, as you know, in a kind of a branding situation, for example, I give you a advert, okay? If it is advert for car, you know, nowadays, if they are not actually talking about the car, like how quickly it is, or how fast it is, or how many wheels it has, or they show the family in a car. Okay, they show the happy family with a dog, and I don't know what, kids, and at the end of the advert there is a Volvo. Okay, they don't even show you car. Okay, so they're telling you a story which you can associate, because you can only associate not to the car, you can associate to the people. So, and this is the same method that we're using, is that we're actually creating a story of existing and future residents or, you know, users, and that's how we actually create a relationship to the place. So they communicate their experience with the city. They telling us what they love, what they hate, and that's how you design. Okay, it's not through the kind of, I would say, brief or numbers, but through actually what is really needed. Of course, in reality, you have to combine these things. But storytelling is a very important thing, how you shape places, and of course, how places are shaping, you know, people. So I'll give you just, you know, a few examples of what we do. This was a project back in 2006, and again, you know, some people now call it as an image, as a brand, you know, for the new community in London. This is actually a big park in Ealing, in West London. And again, what was amazing that this project was made as a kind of a combination of recycling materials. So we recycled materials, we deposit them, and that deposit paid for the park. Okay, so it was kind of funny economic, I would say, entertaining approach. But at the end, for zero taxpayers' money, we created this very clear and very visible park, you know, and became almost like I would say, the gathering point for the community, because it was in Ealing, in London, it's kind of flat, there's nothing there. And suddenly they have a place where they can meet, they can associate with, and that, again, it created an image and a character for the community. So I think that it was very successful. So no logos, no marketing, just place where they can do things together and share it. And last one, in Birmingham. Birmingham is kind of non-place. You know, it's a city which, you know, either way has no identity, still trying to find their own identity, but they built a new quarter, which of course is built by help of big architects, and they created this space, you know, in the middle. Of course, it's a bit of a shopping there and everything, but it was, again, non-place, you know, and they really tried to actually, how are we gonna make it as a place for people? And we said, like, let's create something what draws people there and create, I would say, sense of a play, you know, sense of a kind of, I would say, sensoric place, you know, something where you can stand and be yourself or see yourself. So these elements, these wind vans, are these kind of reflections, you know, so you can actually go there and with other people kind of experience something together. And actually, it's like a rainbow effect, you know. Nobody kind of questions a rainbow. It goes there and say like, wow, it works. You don't have to talk too much. And that's what we want to try to replicate here. And in a way, again, it created a sense of a place, you know, and sense of, again, brand for the city. So they're using it everywhere now. So these are the kind of, I would say, two examples how we do it. But again, as I said at the beginning, you know, city is not a brand in terms of a static element. It's evolving, and I think mainly the people and their relationship which sells. And that's where I'm going to end up. Okay, so but anyway, any questions, happy to answer.